Hello and welcome to my technical showcase of Project The Last Expedition. We currently have opened here the Starcraft 2 client, which is a game free to install. Here I have created my project, The Last Expedition. It is a fully playable game, which I will now demonstrate to you in this video. Let us start using the Starcraft 2 interface. This is the Starcraft 2 lobby. From here we can designate every player and the color they wish their units to be in. I will select teal since it is my favorite color. I will also add 2 AIs to join us. In my game, the AIs will be detected as computer players, which will then work on themselves by the scripts that I have made for them. I will now put them in new teams, so that we will not be in the same team at the start of the game. Then I will hit start, and the last expedition will load. This project has costed almost over 60 hours to create, and I am proud of it. What you see before you now is the map. As you can see, there are 5 largely populated squares. I have divided the map in different squares that I can use to create areas in which you can explore in my game. Now as the game loads up and the solemn atmosphere starts to take over, we are represented the hero selection screen. This is where our adventure begins. We are the last expedition. There's only one objective, and that is finding home. For this, we have 3 heroes at our disposal. The seasoned veteran, the security chief, and the Templar Knight. Each have different themed abilities, have different strengths, and have different power fantasies in which they are good at. For example, the seasoned veteran can deal a lot of damage from long range, while the Templar Knight is a melee fighting character that focuses on protecting his allies. To select our units, we select the formation we want. In this case, I want 1 of each hero. These heroes will then be added to my hero selection screen. I can select a hero to issue it a weapon and a core. I can also remove them and then decide to add another hero. But in this case I will stick to my primary first selection. Every hero has a different set of weapons and cores. I have not fully developed the maximum amount of weapons and cores yet, but that is not essential to showcase the game. Usually, for the end product, players will start with only 2 weapons and 2 cores available to them. Playing characters will give you experience, which will allow you to unlock new weapon and core options. The weapon and core combination you choose determines the playstyle of your character, and it is important for gameplay purposes to have a theme, a big strength of your party to win the game. For the seasoned veteran, I will now go through the weapons I have and select the laser rifle. This is a close range, high damage weapon. However, it is weak against units that have shields. Units that have shields are Protoss units, like the Templar Knight, as you can see in its stat array next to HP, which stands for hit points. Shields are a different type of life, which most players that play this game will know, since it is within the Starcraft 2 client, in which shields are a gameplay term that people understand. In this case, they are hit points that regenerate very quickly out of combat. If a character has no hit points, they will die. After selecting the laser rifle, I will take heavyweight armor, which is very powerful against melee opponents, as you see, because of a 60% melee protection. However, especially enemies that deal spell damage will deal heavy damage against this character. This character will also have reduced attack speed and movement speed, but an insanely high amount of hit points, and according to the description, the Brace ability. The Security Chief will now be given another ability. I will give the Security Chief the Scatterblast missile, which is especially good against light enemies and deals splash damage. I will then use this with the Aegis Shield, which is another powerful defensive gear. However, the Aegis Shield specializes against ranged enemies instead of melee enemies, which will be handy to survive attacks from both types of enemies. Then the Templar Knight. My previous characters were good against unshielded enemies, and one good against light enemies. I'm going to continue this style and select a weapon that is also good against light enemies. This will allow me to seek levels with only light enemies, which will make my game a lot easier for me. The Solarite Reaper grants additional hit points, movement, and a charging ability. However, it is a melee weapon, meaning that this character will go directly into the fray to attack my enemies. There are multiple weapons I can give this character, but I will choose the Avenger's Garments, which is really good against both melee and ranged enemies. This makes every single character I have great against melee and ranged enemies, but sucky against spell damage enemies, which I will choose to avoid in this run. Once we click ready and all other players are ready, the game will start. It will be brought to the main interface. To the left, we can select every hero and manage our resources. As you can see, the weapons and armor we selected are displayed here for us to remember which ones we chose. Soon, at the top of the screen, you can see minerals. Soon we will gather minerals from expeditions we go to. Minerals can be used to upgrade our heroes. For 50 minerals, we can purchase a talent point, which upgrades either the hit points and shields, the energy, which allows us to cast more special abilities, damage, which increases the damage of the weapons we chose, and spell damage, which increases the damage of spells and special abilities. During our expedition, we will collect minerals for these talents, but also special abilities and units that will join our expedition on our journey to find our way home. We can also sell things we do not like, and we can name our characters. This character will be called Chris daarboven. This character will be called Geef mij een hoog cijfer. This character will be called Speldangler 69 XXX, as to intimidate our opponents with terrible cringe. The second screen is irrelevant currently. This is mostly irrelevant currently. This is the diplomacy screen. There may be other players out there. We know there are other players out there. We selected that. However, we don't currently in this game know about other players. Here we can choose to either be peaceful towards players we encounter, or to skirmish and attack other players. When we've met a player, we will get new options, diplomacy options, that will allow us to react to what the other player is doing. For now, I will settle for peace with a player. Now comes the most exciting and important part of the game, which is selecting where to go. We can go to the Forlorn War Zone, the Forgotten Bogs, or the Dangerous Factories. Every zone we can go to has two main stats. The purple number showcases how many new options we'll get if we'll travel there. The orange number shows the estimated danger level of an area. Below an expedition are showcased the enemies that we'll encounter. For example, the Stalker is a powerful ranged attacker, resistant against spell damage. It can blink away if damaged when it's more highly leveled, but we are at the start of the game, so the enemy special abilities don't matter too much. The Stalker is a ranged attacker. The Marine is a swarmy ranged attacker that attacks in large groups. And the Roach is a heavy melee attacker, resistant against ranged attacks. In this case, each of these enemies deal melee and ranged damage, which we are good at. I remember that our weapons are especially strong against light enemies. These are basic units in the Starcraft 2 game, and I will probably end up adding a full description of the main stats. But I happen to know that the Stalker is an armored enemy, the Roach is an armored enemy, but the Marine is a light enemy. Our weapons, the Scatterblast Missile and the Solarite Reaper, do extra damage against light enemies, and so I will decide that this is probably the safest expedition to go to. At the top, you can find rewards of an expedition, which include minerals, soldiers that will join you once you defeat them, which in this case are Marines, Marines that will join the first person of expedition and the second person of our expedition, according to the number. And special abilities. In this case, we will not travel to the dangerous factories to get this special ability, but in this case, it would be Banshee Airstrike for our first character, which is the seasoned veteran. Banshee Airstrike allows us to summon a Banshee to bombard an area, which is a powerful ability. But in this case, I am not willing to take the risk. We are traveling to the Forgotten Bogs. When every player is ready, when the first player is ready, a timer will start for the others, and then everyone will become ready eventually and begin. We are traveling to the Forgotten Bogs. I've made 5 different maps with doodads and textures found in the Starcraft 2 engine to make every map an interesting sight to behold. I've also crafted 7 facets of lighting that will make every map a unique sight. And to complement it, I've written my own music. As you see, our expedition members are gathering. The laser rifle and missiles are at full showcase. And Spelldangler 69 just charged an enemy. Is charging. Chris is waiting for the rest to rally, and we are now moving in to attack across the map. This works by assigning different points in the map, which our expedition team will travel to. The enemy is ambushing us. We are fighting, but because we chose our enemies carefully, they are no trouble at all. Okay, what is this? We have encountered another player. Another expedition. The Marines you see that appear now are not our enemies. They are the enemies of the other player, which they will now fight. You see areas being cleared of hostiles? Abstain and abstain. We both chose to be peaceful. We will now continue on our ways, but if we meet this player again, we might be able to ask for an alliance, or we could attack them. The enemy attack waves are summoned through a complicated procedural generation algorithm. It makes it so that every wave is stronger than the last. Every time we reach a point, a wave will spawn. As you see, another wave is coming at us. They're opening fire at us, but Spelldangler is rushing forward. He's taking heavy hits. He's halfway dead, according to his life bar, and as you see, he goes down. This is no problem, for we have almost completed the level. The health bars you see, I have both a life bar and an energy bar. Our Templar Knight had 3 bars, one which was the shield bar. Life and shields dictate how close the unit is to dying, and the energy bar dictates how much it has left to cast special abilities. However, after just starting the game, energy is not a concern of ours. Currently, we have completed the mission. We are waiting, however, on the other players. Perhaps some fool thought it would be a good choice to go to the Roaches on a danger level 3 mission, to the dangerous factories, if I remember correctly. The player has perished. How sad. Now, we have returned to our screen. Many new options have been given to us since we took an expedition that gave us 5 new options. We've also gotten rewards, which are very satisfying to collect. As you see, we have been granted a Marine for our first and second unit. Some strategies would like to get as many army units as possible, while other strategies like to spend all minerals, like to gather minerals to spend on talent upgrades. In this case, I will do a combination. I will upgrade the Security Chief's Marine 4 times. Every upgrade increases an army unit's attack and life by 40%, and it costs as much as the unit is worth, in this case 15. This Marine will now help us better in combat. I also think the Templar Knight is dying too quickly. That's why I will grant an endurance point, which increases hit points, shields, and the rate at which these stats regenerate. Now that we have a full team ready, I will decide to sell this Marine. This gave us extra minerals, which we will be able to use later. Now is our diplomacy time. I can choose to skirmish if we meet player 3, but I think I like them. I will ask them for an alliance the next time we meet. But the other player sucks. This is why I will choose to skirmish with that player if we meet them. Now there are a lot of choices. For the sake of showcasing special abilities, I will go to the Insidious Box, which will give us the Inspiring Speech ability, which is a very powerful ability for our third character, the Templar Knight, Spelldangler 69. Let us move out. I've made 15 enemies you can face, each with different strengths and stats and roles and abilities. But we will once again fight boring marines. Unknown force has been detected. This means that another player has chosen to go to exactly the same place as us. Yes, this game is a matter of survival, but also diplomacy. Your chances are much higher if you work together. If you become allies, you will gain the ability to see where the other player goes, and you will work together on expeditions. Instead of fighting different enemies, you will fight the same enemy. But of course, can everyone be trusted? If one player asks for an alliance and the other decides to double cross them, it'll end badly for them. For the two groups will fight, with the one with peaceful intentions at a disadvantage. As you see, up above another player seems to be fighting. This is player 2. They originally died, but I didn't implement dying for testing purposes. Now I selected skirmish for a player I did not know yet. Ah, they have a roach. They probably went to the roaches. In any case, we will now beat these marines and then start with our diplomacy. Spelldangler 69 is finishing off the enemy. And I decide to skirmish while he decides to abstain. This means we have an advantage. We start attacking them, and now, only now, they start attacking us. We're battling at each other. I'm dealing heavy damage to characters, but after a short while, we will stop fighting. We've just hurt badly, though one of our own troops was also damaged. I don't think, however, that we did enough damage to kill this player, which is not what it's supposed to do. Fighting another player is supposed to be a nuisance to them. This game's already hard enough without other players preying at you. However, now that we have a player we are hostile with, we have gained a new diplomacy. This diplomacy option is the skirmish option. Is the elimination option. It's exactly like the skirmish option, but it prolongs combat. It doubles combat, as you see. Here's our new option. I will choose to eliminate this player if we meet them. And player 3, I will try to make an alliance with them, if possible. Now, we have gained new items, minerals, and inspiring speech. If we go to Spelldangler 69, we see that inspiring speech is now here. Our hero will use this ability on its own during the battle. Through complicated scripts, it will find the best moment to use it. In this case, inspiring speech buffs all units around the Templar Knight and taunts enemies into attacking the Templar Knight while it's having its speech. Let us try it out. You will battle marauders, which are very powerful against melee characters. But I like danger. And because the other mission has sentries, which are enemies that deal spell damage, something we are particularly weak against. Once again, we are not alone. Return to the bogs. As you see, we have already been to the bogs earlier, but with the different lighting and different route, it feels like a different location. We are engaged. The laser rifle of Chris is very powerful against marauders. Chris is taking the beating because he didn't give me a high grade. And he survives. And the rest of his team comes to assist him, including the heavily upgraded Marine. Moving up. Music is playing. You feel we are in battle. Mr. Wolf is taking a beating from these marauders. But look, the inspiring speech hits everyone. Look how quick we all are. What a powerful buff. And now we have met Yukimi, Romifu, and everyone from player 3. We both want an alliance. This is perfect. A noise of success plays. And next time we fight, we will fight together. Of course, the AIs have set personalities which I programmed beforehand. Some AIs will double cross you, but this AI is just perfect for my kill plays. Spelled Angler 69 rushes forward, but he barely deals any damage against Marauders, because Marauders are not light enemies, which Spelled Angler is strong against, and they have a very high melee resistance. Spelled Angler 69 might even end up dying. He is not careful. You've seen. The expedition has been programmed to have the units move at a distance from each other, making it so that sometimes fights occur that others are not a part of. Now, as you see, we are an ally of player 3. We get new units and minerals. I will choose to spend 100 minerals on upgrading Inspiring Speech, increasing its power by 50%. Our new ally is our ally until we choose to betray them, but that has not been implemented yet. And player 3 is my Mutty. I will not betray them. Together, let us travel to the Fallen Box. I think the Great War Zone is too dangerous because of the Hellions that have a very high range protection, and because it only gives us 2 new options. Let us go to the Fallen Box. We are not alone, because our ally has seen that we're heading this way, and allied forces are in position. Unknown forces has been detected as well, which means that the 3rd player is here. As you see, the enemy attack waves are larger than usual, but we have twice the firepower because Romifu, Temuku, and the 3rd character of our ally are with us. Of course, these names are generated by a fantastic random name generation algorithm that generates Japanese names. Together we move. With the ominous music playing, it really feels like we have encountered someone in the middle of nowhere, and that we are now relying on someone. My Inspiring Speech goes down and buffs all of my units, making us a force to be reckoned with. I can even see lightning around the Marauders of this player, showing the abilities they've chosen. Here's the other player. What has my friend decided to do to other players? What have I decided to do to other players? We will find out after they beat the enemies that spawn. He has a shield ability on tier 1. That's interesting to know. My friend has decided to destroy the enemy. Well, let us go with it then. It's a 2 versus 1. Completely obliterated. Their abilities aren't enough. Go down. Now our expedition continues. In a real game, player 2 would have perished, making us the only 2 players left. Likely the game would continue to wave 15, which is the last level. A game lasts between 1 to 1.5 hours in total. It is very hard, but careful resource management and a piece of luck will take you very far. And of course, there are endless possibilities of experiments with weapons. If every character has 6 weapons and force, every character has 36 options, there are 3 characters, which means that every hero slot has over 36 times 3 is a lot of possibilities in total. Now, the last level I will show you is the boss level. For this, I will upgrade Spelldangler's hit points to the maximum and give more upgrades to our Marine. Now, the next level will have a boss. In the finished version of the game, the boss will have been presented to us at the start of the game. However, currently, because of programming limitations, the boss is randomly generated at the spot, which is bad design because it means that we can't prepare beforehand for the boss. Some bosses are characters, heroes like us with random sets of abilities, and if it just happens to be one that we are ill-equipped against, we will badly lose. The high box are the easiest mission among this bunch. Though the rewards are extremely high because of the fact that the next level is a boss mission, I would like to take the easiest mission next. To the high box we go. Or actually not. I still need to showcase different locations. So let's go to the factories. High factories. Together we go. High factories. Allied forces in position. Enemy leader detected. The lighting is eerie as we enter the factories. The first enemy is up here. Oh, we're losing one of our roaches on the wall. That's fine, they weren't upgraded anyway. We regroup. More enemies up here. Everyone's here now. We are ready to move out. You can see our upgraded marine is damaged. We don't have any abilities to heal it. Restore it. So we will rely on our brute power. Inspiring speed is cast. Up here, the enemy bosses. You can see them in between here with the name tags. We've lost Chris. He was eliminated by the bosses. But we killed the boss as well, and the bosses flee to the next point of the map. Every boss must be beaten thrice. There are 2 bosses because we are with 2 players. Here come the bosses once again, casting their powerful spells against us. We will survive using our own abilities and powers. That's too late. They cast teleportation spells on us. They get buffs and become very powerful. Looks like we'll make it. Now, only Geef men hoog cijfer and Speldangler remain, and they are heavily damaged. All of our army forces are dead. Temuku sacrifices himself into the enemy marine lines. The bosses appear, supporting the enemy. My friend has fallen. No, the other player has fallen. I have fallen. My friend has fallen. The expedition is another. He will never return. And then, as the game detects that every player has died, the game resets and gives us another chance. This is the last expedition. I hope you enjoyed this showcase. Goodbye. En geef me een hoog cijfer.